no regrets, but also small regrets. I love the Nintendo Switch as much as the next person. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a lot more. But I can't say every single one of my Nintendo Switch purchases were a good idea. I mean, if you look at my bank account, you could argue none of my Nintendo Switch purchases were a good idea, but that's not up for discussion today, okay? Now, not every single game on this list is necessarily a bad game. Some of these games are on this list because they're good, but they're not £55 worth of good, or what's the American? $70 apparently. So if I could travel back in time to my past self, these are the games I'd tell myself not to buy. Although whilst we're traveling back in time, I'd probably tell past me not to get that haircut because it's not as cute as you think it is. Okay? Oh, and while we're time traveling, I'll probably tell my mum not to throw away that giant box of Pokemon cards because one day they might be worth something. Now that is the real meaning of regret. Oh, and by the way, if you love all things Nintendo Switch, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I upload at least once a week with all things Nintendo related because I am obsessed. And if we hit 5k subscribers, something fun might happen. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, here are my list of games that I have regrets about. And we're going to start with a big one. WarioWare. This has to be in my top 10 most disappointing games of the year. No, of all time. I was so upset by this game. WarioWare is a game I have such fond memories with on the Wii. It is a game I distinctly remember and I distinctly love from the Wii era and was just everything that I love about Nintendo games. I played it with my family and I remember standing there screaming at my brother when we would play it 2-player as the music got faster and we were doing all these wacky things with the controllers. It was the best. So you can probably understand that when it came out on the Switch and I picked it up and discovered there are 0 motion controls in this game, I was so disappointed. Before Switch Sports and Nintendo Switch had a distinct lack number of accessible motion controlled games, aka everything the Wii was good at. And this game could have solved it, but instead no, it broke my heart. Next is probably a more controversial one, and this is the Mario Kart DLC. Now, this is controversial because we haven't in fact received everything from it yet, but I regret buying it when I did. So far, I like one of the courses, and that's the Paris one. That map is incredible. The idea behind having 3 laps, each of them done slightly different, and the final one being done backwards is incredible. I need more maps like this. The rest of them are just like... I think my issue is that the gap between every single one of the drops has been too big, so I thought it would get me back into playing Mario Kart, but when there were only so few new courses, I played it for like an hour, put it down, haven't picked it up yet. I think that money that month would have been better spent on any other game other than the Mario Kart DLC. Are the real winners the ones that got the online pass? I can't tell. You do get Octo expansion for free though. While we're talking about that, if you have Nintendo Online, next week, Stardew Valley becomes free to play for a whole week. So if you've never played Stardew Valley before, now's your chance. Borderlands collection. I don't care what price this comes down to. Don't buy it. Buy it on literally any other platform other than Nintendo Switch. It's not like framey, but it doesn't play nicely. It doesn't control nicely. It's all in all just like, I'm really not happy that I bought that. That one is like a huge regret. Next is Story of the Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. And I bought this because I was told it was like Stardew Valley, but cuter. And it's somewhat correct because yes, Story of Seasons is made by the people who used to make Harvest Moon. And that is what Stardew Valley is based on. But the thing they didn't include is that it's slower and clunkier. And yes, I stared at a Word document trying to come up with the correct words to summarize Story of Seasons, and slower and clunkier are the best words I've got. And yes, I'm aware you can't sprint in Stardew Valley. We're talking slower than that. Like, imagine you are playing Stardew Valley, but as an old age pensioner who needs to load in between walking in and out of areas. Now you get where I'm coming from. Everything takes longer. Everything is slightly more awkward to do. Also, they have events in it like Stardew Valley does, but you can't influence anything in them. So they're literally pointless, and I skip them every single time. So basically, this game is like Stardew Valley, only everything is worse and the graphics are slightly cuter. Yeah. I feel kind of bad about the next one. Hyrule Warriors. Now, it's not a bad game. It's just a repetitive game, and that's where I had a problem. You see, the biggest draw for me about this game was that it has 2.5 hours worth of cutscenes that add on to Breath of the Wild. It acts as somewhat of a prequel, and the cutscenes are really good. But I got so bored with the gameplay that I think I would have been better off just going on YouTube and watching the 2.5 hours of cutscenes, and I would have had a similar experience. The gameplay was fun at first, but after like the 5-hour mark, I feel like I was just doing the same thing over and over again, and I just wanted to see the cutscenes. This list makes me feel dirty and bad, but I think it's an important one. Next is Pokemon Snap. I don't feel bad about this one because I feel like so many people agree with this. This game was somewhat fun. However, the biggest gimmick and the biggest focus about this was we finally got a nicely animated Pokemon game. Yeah, I said it. The Pokemon were detailed. The Pokemon behaved in ways you'd expect the Pokemon to behave. But man, how dare they charge that much for this game? You ended up having to repeat each stage a number of different times where barely anything had changed. And every stage was just the same old with slightly different Pokemon and slightly different scenery. And I didn't even have the urge to finish it. After 5 hours, I was like, yeah, the gimmick's done. Nice. Moving on with my life. It's definitely one of those games where I feel like if you watched someone play it, you got close enough to the same experience. Next is Super Mario Party. No, it is not a full price game. Am I still angry about it? Yes. And so are so many other people, rightfully so. When I first got this game, I was somewhat happy with it. I was like, oh, they're going to bring online features, and there's what, only a handful of boards, so of course they're going to bring more to that to keep with the longevity of the game. I mean, at least they did eventually bring online courses, but they then went and made a whole new game instead of adding us more boards, and that game was better in every single way. In other words, in less than a year of the original game coming out, they said, screw it, we'll bring out a better game because we really messed up with that one. I mean, they did, but I paid money for the first one. Paid money. It was not a good move by Nintendo, and I'm not happy about it. So just a reminder, don't buy the first Mario Party on the Switch, buy the second one because it's better in every single way. I feel bad about this one too, and it's Let's Go. It's a great game, but it costs a lot of money for the amount of gameplay you get out of it. Like, if you are not a shiny hunter, you will not get that many hours out of this game. It's just the way it is. The first gen is slightly quicker a game, and this game is on the easier side of Pokemon. How much are they charging for it now? It's still over £40. It's like a £35 game. If you can buy Switch Sports at £35, you should be able to buy this at £35. It's overcharged for what it is. Great game, cute, lovely, love it. We'll still tell people if they want to get into Pokemon, this is the #1 game they should go for, but get it on sale if you can. And finally, speaking of Switch Sports, I'm gonna add Mario Golf. Mario Golf was fun, I enjoyed it, but now we're getting golf as a part of Switch Sports. Having an entire golf game seems a little bit pointless. I mean, I know it's not the same as like just playing golf straight away. There's other mechanics, but I don't think those warrant an entire game. I feel like golf and tennis were just testing out the mechanics and making the foundation for them ready for Switch Sports, so Switch Sports could be a cheaper game by reusing things they'd already figured out. Speaking of Switch Sports, if you would like to see my parents try Switch Sports for the first time, then click on this video here. It is one of my favorites, and I'll see you next time. Bye.